Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. It has been a while. I apologize for that, but I did have a holiday, and last week when I returned at work, it was mental, so I didn't get round to doing Game Week 33. However, we're back and we will be doing Game Week 34, and we are going to jump straight into things. We have the 12:30 kickoff between Chelsea and Everton. Now, Chelsea aren't in bad form. They've won three, drawn two, and lost one of the last six. And they'll be absolutely buoyed by their last game. They won 2-1. I think, was it Neto that scored in the last few minutes or something? Um, so yeah, they'll be buoyed by that. It obviously keeps them in sixth, I think. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, sixth, and they're currently level on points with Villa, and they are 2 points behind Newcastle. Um, but yes, they may have they may have um, one eye on their Conference League semi-final against the team where Derby signed Zetterstrom from. I bet he's loving life right now. Currently sat on the injury table, relegation threatened Derby, and his old side are in the Conference League semi-final. Um, back to back to the point though. As regards to Everton, Everton did go 9 games unbeaten since Moyes took over, which was phenomenal, by the way. Uh, Now they've only lost. They've only won. No, they've lost two of the last four, but that was against Liverpool and Man City, which was the last game, and it did take City a while to break Everton down. And even the Liverpool one, they only lost 1-0. Um, so Everton will be, I think, looking forward to next season and building on this, because obviously, clearly, Moyes is the man for the job. Um, they currently sit at the top of that little lower mid-table region, um, who are, well, I say above the relegation zone as if they're fighting relegation. They've got nothing to play for, any of those sides, realistically. Um, this is the 172nd meeting between the two sides, which is crazy, bonkers. Um, Chelsea do boast the slightly better record. They have won 63. Everton have won 55. The other 53 ended in draws. Um, uh, if the game was to follow the last 9 games, a pattern, um, Everton would win this game. So I think it's one, it'd be like a Chelsea win, draw, Everton win, Chelsea win, etc., etc., etc. However, Everton haven't won at Stamford Bridge since 1994. I was 3 years old. That's a long time ago. I'm old. I get it. Um, Having took into everything into consideration, I do think Chelsea will run out narrow victors. I'm going to predict a 2-1 Everton. No, Chelsea win, even. Next up, the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Brighton versus West Ham. Brighton currently sat in 10th, but well in that hunt for European football. Um, Although last week was damaging. 4-2 against Brentford, they lost. And that brings Brentford into play. I think a few weeks ago, everyone was like, oh, Brentford are probably just going to be happy with mid table. You beat someone that's 4 or 5 points and you throw yourself back in the mix again. I think Brentford are still in that hunt. 5 games to go. Anything can happen. Um, Brighton are in horrible form at the moment. They haven't won in their last five, uh, and they've lost three of those. So, can they turn things around? We'll see. As regards to West Ham, though, they're not much better. I mean, they've drawn three and lost three of their last six. So, and they're not my best friends at the moment, West Ham, because they conceded a last minute equaliser against Southampton, which drew Southampton level with the worst points tally in Premier League history. I was really hoping it was going to get broken this season. Um, I mean, I didn't think it was. In all honesty, I did look at the teams and think, yeah, they're all going to get at least 11 points. And Southampton are now obviously on 11 points. Um, as for the Hammers, they can still mathematically be caught up by Ipswich. it's going to take for West Ham to lose all their next 5 games and Ipswich to win all their next 5 games. Don't think it's going to happen, as you'll see later on. So yeah, West Ham technically do need a point to officially secure their survival. Yeah, and obviously be in the Premier League next season. Uh, this is only the 30th league meeting between the two sides. And Brighton do boast a slightly better record. They have won 11. West Ham have won 7. The other 11 ending in draws. Last meeting was a 1-1 draw in December. However, I do think someone is on the end of pummeling by Brighton. They do score a lot of goals. So I'm going for an optimistic 4-1 Brighton win. Next up, Newcastle versus Ipswich. Newcastle got absolutely battered by Villa last time out, which I think if it was vice versa would have ended Villa's Champions League hopes, given the fact that obviously Villa lost to City in midweek as well. I think it still just about keeps Villa in the hunt for that, but we'll talk about more about Villa in a bit. No, it won't, because Villa are in FA Cup action. But yeah, Newcastle currently occupy the last Champions League qualification spot in 5th, and yeah, I think they'll be feeling confident about this one. Because of Ipswich, they've just they're they're not gonna do it hard. They're not gonna win 5 games. I can't see them going to St James's Park and going boom 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 bang bang. I watched them at the weekend against Arsenal, and I really thought, because of obviously Arsenal's schedule, that Ipswich could have posed Arsenal a threat, and well, it was dashed inside 25 minutes, wasn't it, when Leif Davis decided that he was going to stand on Saka's Achilles heel. You know, it was a dreadful tackle, got what he deserves, and Ipswich got battered. I think Arsenal ended up with like 79% possession. Crazy, crazy. Um, Newcastle do actually, no, they don't. This is only the 45th league meeting between the pair, and the record's actually quite equal. Ipswich actually have more wins. Ipswich have 17 wins. Newcastle only have 15, and the other 13 drawn. So it's still fairly, balanced head to head. Newcastle won 4-0 earlier on in the season, and I think they're going to go one better this time because it's at St James's Park. I think Newcastle are going to hit Ipswich for 5, and Ipswich aren't going to score. So 5-0 Newcastle. Next up, Southampton versus Fulham. And my other non-friends from this league at the moment, obviously gutted that Southampton picked up that point. They do need just another point to then go, haha, we're not going to finish with the joint lowest record. I'd rather not share it. To be fair, I'd rather it just be broken. But I don't think it ever will be. Realistically, I don't think that record will ever be broken. The last outing, obviously, was that 1-1 draw, and scoring in the 93rd minute. I mean, there's no better feeling, is there, really, whether you equalise or win in the last minute. You got to give the fans something to celebrate. Fulham, as for Fulham, they are still in the hunt. They are 9th. They're just a point off Bournemouth. Really tough defeat for them last week, especially because they were 1-0 up as well. They'll be looking to get that European hunt back on track. It's the 81st league meeting between the two sides, and Southampton actually do have a better record. They have won 25. Fulham have only won 19. The other 21 have been drawn. So still not like a big head-to-head swing, but Yeah, Southampton will be buoyed that they did actually get a point at Craven Cottage. Can they go one better in front of the home crowd? The answer is no, in my opinion. I do think Fulham. I think the fact that Fulham have got something to play for will just buoy them up a little bit more, and the fact that they lost to rivals Chelsea, local rivals Chelsea, I think Fulham will be up for this one. I'm going for a 2-1 Fulham win. Next up, it is the Battle of the Midlands. We have West versus East. We have Wolves versus Leicester. And Wolves confirmed their Premier League place last week with a 1-0 win at Man United, or against Man United. No, it was at Man United, wasn't it? It was at Old Trafford. A superb free kick from Sarabia, which got them the win. And let's not hold back on this. Wolves' form at the moment, I do think they're at top of the informed charts at the moment. They've won five and only drawn one of the last six. So, if you're going based on the last six, they are the side to beat at the moment, which is a stark contrast if you're Leicester City because you've only picked up 1 point in your last six, and were officially relegated after losing 1-0 to Liverpool last week. It's the 114th league meeting between the two sides. And it's another balanced one, Wolves have won 39, Leicester have won 40. The other 34 have been draws. Um, and yeah, this is technically dead rubber, but I do think this will be an entertaining game. Um, in a sense that it is East versus West Midlands, as I said. Wolves did win 3-0 back in December. I do think Wolves are going to score three again. I do think Leicester are going to score one. They will be buoyed that they, you know, I watched them last week against Liverpool, and they didn't play terribly, and that I think they came very close to scoring against Liverpool. I can't remember who it was, but they hit the post in the first half. They didn't play awful, for saying that they have been dreadful for the majority of the season. So I think they'll come away with a little bit of credibility. And yeah, I do think they'll score. They could get a couple. Who knows? I'm going for 3-1 Wolves though. The first of the Sunday games, we have Bournemouth versus Manchester United. Uh, Bournemouth currently hold on to that sacred eighth place, which looks like it's going to officially guarantee European football. Although none of the sides realistically going for European football at the moment are in good form, and Bournemouth come into that slightly better than the other two. They have won one, drawn two, and lost two of their last five. They are unbeaten in the last three. The last outing was a 0-0 draw at Palace. As for Man United, dead rubber, nothing to play for in terms of the league, and they could have one eye on their biggest game of the season, obviously the Europa League semi-final against Bilbao. Obviously, as previously mentioned, they lost 1-0 to Wolves last time out. Only the 16th league meeting, and you're not going to be surprised that Man United boast the better record. They have won 9 of the 15 previously played. The last outing, though, was a Bournemouth win, and they battered United at Old Trafford 3-0. This one, I think, will be a little bit closer, in stark contrast to Fulham, where Fulham will be buoyed by their loss last week. I do think Bournemouth could be cagey. Like I said, none of the teams at the moment seem to want to fully grasp hold of that eighth place. I do think Bournemouth will edge it though. Bournemouth 2, Man United 1. Then we come up to the final game of the weekend, Liverpool versus Spurs. And after Arsenal's draw last night, Liverpool only need 1 point. I don't think they're going to play for the point, but they only need that point. And the fact that they've only lost 2 games all season, um, which is some good going. Um, Obviously, last time out they won 1-0 against Leicester thanks to Trent Alexander-Arnold. As for Spurs, 16th and enduring one of the worst, probably their worst campaign in years. They've only won one game in seven, and that was against Southampton. So that's not really saying much. That doesn't, you know, give anyone hope as a Spurs persuasion. Uh, Last outing 2-1 against Forest. I don't. I'm not going to talk about Forest. They're in FA Cup action this weekend, so I don't need to talk about them. This is the 165th league meeting, and this is considerably one-sided. Liverpool have won 79, Spurs have won 43, and the other 42 have been drawn. The Spurs haven't won at Anfield since 2011. So would it not be typical of Spurs to go to Anfield when Liverpool only need a point to go and get all 3 points? It would be Spurs. It would be just Spurs. Um, The last outing was the crazy 6-3. When did you ever see that? You don't see that much nowadays. Liverpool won 6-3 back in December. Do I think Spurs are going to Spurs and get 3 points? No, no. Uh, I do think it's going to be another entertaining game. I do think Liverpool are going to win 4-2, which will obviously crown Liverpool as champions. Now, I've seen posts. We're going to come on to Liverpool's title hopes now because title. Um, I've seen people go, oh yeah, but the other teams have been rubbish, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Yeah, the other teams haven't been as consistent and haven't been, in the title race as much as previous seasons. But you've got to give Liverpool credit. You know, they've gone out there, shown the most consistency out of anybody. It's not an easy league to win. And let's be honest, myself included, how many people actually thought Arne Slot was going to win the Premier League in his first season? Can't can't think of I can't think there'd be too many people. Um, you know, and don't get me wrong. Obviously, a lot of it is of Klopp's doing, or a lot of Klopp's team are still there. I don't think they signed anyone in before the start of the season, and I don't think they've signed too many players in January either. So a new manager, it could have gone horribly wrong for Liverpool this season. Liverpool could have very easily done what Spurs and United are doing. I don't think as bad, but they could have ended up finishing like ninth or 10th, and it would have been a poor season. So yeah, you've got to give Liverpool credit. I know a lot of people will disagree and say, "Oh, Liverpool have got all the VARs again for them, blah blah blah, yada yada." Do you know what? Who cares? It's a game of football at the end of the day. Anyway, that is me done ranting about people moaning about Liverpool. I like Liverpool because my mum supports Liverpool, so I've always been brought up to like Liverpool. I will be biased to Liverpool. That's just me. Anyway, I'm heading off. See you for the next one, guys.